Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Have you ever, smelled something and been instantly transported back to your childhood?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's amazing how food can do that, right?
Yeah, food is so powerful, that it's so much more than just fuel. It's tied
Exactly.
to our memories, our emotions, our families, everything.
And that's exactly what we're going to be diving into today.
Okay.
We're talking about the book, How to Talk to Children About Food by Anna Colton.
I love this book.
It's like a parenting guide meets psychology deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about understanding, those often unspoken dynamics
Yeah,
between food, families, and feeling.
absolutely.
You can find a link to the book in the description below.
And
Oh, and if you're enjoying this deep dive,
yes,
please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more.
so important.
So Colton, who's a clinical psychologist specializing in eating disorders,
Yeah.
she really breaks down how our earliest experiences with food
Mm-hmm.
can shape our habits and anxieties,
Yes.
sometimes even for generations.
It's crazy.
I know, it is. It's wild.
Like those things from our childhood we're still dealing with.
And so one of the first things that really jumped out at me was the story of Mina.
Oh, yeah.
So her mom, with the best of intentions,
Mm.
showed love primarily through food,
Right.
like elaborate birthday cakes,
Right.
special meals, you name it.
Like food equals love in our household.
Yes, exactly. And that created this really powerful association for Mina,
Right.
like food equals love.
Exactly.
But it also meant that when her mom was stressed or upset
Mm-hmm.
and those food-based expressions of love were absent,
Yeah.
Mina felt really deeply insecure.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It's so interesting how even seemingly positive actions can have these unintended consequences,
Totally.
right? It's shaping a child's relationship with food
Yeah.
in ways we might not even consider.
Absolutely.
And it really makes you realize how important it is to diversify how we express love and affection.
For sure.
Food can certainly be a part of that.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be the only language we speak.
Exactly. There are other ways to say I love you,
Right.
besides just with food.
The book also talks about what Colton calls family food legacies.
Oh, yeah.
So it's this idea that food habits, anxieties,
Mm-hmm.
even those kind of quirky rules we grew up with,
Yeah,
can get passed down through generations.
for sure.
It's almost like an inheritance.
Yeah, it really is.
So take the baby boomers, for example.
Okay.
Their parents lived through the scarcity of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So food was super precious.
Right.
It was something to be hoarded and never wasted. Even though the boomers like themselves had plenty,
Yeah.
they often inherited those anxieties, like
Huh.
stockpiling food
Yeah.
or feeling compelled to clear their plates.
Oh, yeah, my grandma was like that.
Really?
Totally. She grew up during a war.
Wow, so that's interesting how that just gets passed down.
It really is.
So I want you to think about your own family for a minute.
Okay.
Were meals a source of comfort,
Mm-hmm.
or were they a source of tension?
Yeah,
Did you have any, weird food rules growing up?
for sure.
Chances are those early experiences,
Yeah,
even if they seem insignificant now,
totally.
they're probably still influencing your relationship with food today.
It's so true.
And that's what's so fascinating.
Right.
We don't even realize
Yeah,
recognizing those patterns is so crucial.
absolutely.
By becoming aware of those legacies,
Mm-hmm.
you can start to break free from those potentially unhelpful habits
Totally.
and create a healthier relationship with food
Totally.
for yourself and for your children.
Yes. And then you can break the cycle, you know?
Exactly.
You don't pass it on to the next generation.
It all starts with awareness.
So true.
Now, one of the things that I thought was so interesting in this book
Yeah.
is this whole concept of raising intuitive eaters,
Uh-huh.
which what I found interesting about that is it's less about specific food rules
Yeah,
and more about a fundamental shift in approach.
totally.
Right.
It's a whole different way of thinking about food.
Yes.
And kids and meal times and all of that.
So it's about helping kids tune into their bodies,
Mm-hmm.
develop a sense of trust around food.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
Well, she gives us a good place to start. It's
Okay.
this framework
Okay.
called the division of responsibility in feeding.
Okay, break it down for me.
Okay, so you, as the parent,
hmm
you're in charge of the when and where of meals.
So I decide
Yes.
what food is offered
Yes.
when meals happen.
Yep.
And I try to make the eating environment positive.
Exactly. So you're setting the stage, but then
Yeah.
you let go of the reins a bit.
Okay.
Your child
hmm
gets to decide how much they eat from what you've offered,
hmm
and even whether they want to eat at all.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know.
Especially when you're bombarded with messages
Right.
about portion sizes and,
Making sure they get their vegetables,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of that.
like I feel like that's all you hear as a parent.
Yes.
Make sure they're eating enough.
Especially when they're little.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I know if they're getting enough?
But
Trying to like micromanage
Yeah.
every bite,
yeah.
it can really backfire.
And it'd be his power struggles.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah, mealtimes become a battleground.
Just, I've been there.
Right.
It's not fun.
Nobody's enjoying that.
So this is about trusting your child
Yes.
to listen to their body.
To make choices that feel right for them.
Yeah.
And you're giving them that autonomy.
Which can be scary as a
I
parent.
know.
But it helps them develop a healthier relationship with food.
It does.
Which is the ultimate goal.
Absolutely.
I imagine it'd take a lot of patience.
Oh, for sure.
Especially like if you have a picky eater.
It does. She talks about that. This is
Oh.
not like an overnight transformation.
Right.
It's a process.
Yeah.
And she has this really great story.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
Oh, about this mom named Barbara
Okay.
who was really struggling with her picky eater,
Okay.
James. And it was, she was doing what we all do.
Yeah.
Negotiating, offering treats.
The bribes.
Yes.
I've used those.
I know. We've all been there.
The bargaining.
Yeah, meal times were just this battleground.
It's exhausting.
It really is for everyone.
So what does she do?
So she decided to just try something different.
Okay.
She stopped keeping unhealthy snacks in the house.
Oh, wow.
No more bargaining chips.
Wow, that's bold.
I know, right?
So what happened?
It wasn't a magic solution.
Okay.
But gradually, James's eating habits started to improve.
Okay.
He was still picky.
Yeah.
But because those tempting treats weren't constantly around,
Right.
he was more willing to try new things.
Oh, interesting.
And he began to eat more consistently at mealtimes.
Oh, wow.
He was actually tuning into his own hunger.
It's like taking away those distractions.
Yeah.
So that they can really hear their own bodies.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And it's a powerful reminder for us as parents, too, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes creating them boundaries
Yeah.
and removing temptation can make a world of difference.
That's so interesting.
It's about shifting the focus
Mm-hmm.
from external control to internal regulation.
So we're setting the stage by
Yeah.
providing
That's-
healthy options.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're creating that
Yeah.
positive mealtime environment
And then letting go of that control
and trusting
that they will. Yeah.
find their way.
Yeah. It's like a leap of faith.
It is.
It all comes back to that modeling.
Oh, absolutely. Like our kids are always watching us.
Always watching.
Even when we don't realize it.
Yeah.
Like if we're constantly dieting
Mm.
or talking negatively about our bodies.
Or labeling foods as good or bad.
Oh, yeah, all of that messaging.
It's like, do as I say,
Right.
not as I do.
Doesn't work.
Does not apply here.
Especially with this.
We have to walk the walk.
Absolutely.
If we want our kids to develop a healthy relationship with food,
Lead by example.
yeah, what we model matters.
So much. And that modeling also includes like
Yeah,
showing them that all foods can be enjoyed.
in moderation.
Yes, exactly.
It's about balance.
It's about balance and trust and, helping them build that foundation
Yeah.
of like,
A healthy relationship.
a healthy relationship.
With food.
Yes.
So we've talked about intuitive eating.
Right.
We've talked about setting a good example,
Mhm.
making meal times enjoyable.
Yeah.
What about some of those trickier situations like
Okay.
food allergies?
Food allergies.
That can be really stressful.
Oh, for sure.
Especially if your child has like a severe allergy.
It's scary.
You want them to be safe,
Absolutely.
but you don't want to create like a phobia
right.
or make them feel like they're missing out.
Exactly. It's a hard balance.
So Colton talks about this balance
It does.
between being cautious,
Yeah.
but also being confident.
Right. You want them to feel empowered, not fearful.
So it's about educating them about their allergies
Yes.
in a matter-of-fact way.
Without like
Yeah.
instilling excessive fear.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, if you eat this, you'll die.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
girl.
that's terrifying.
Right.
So, explaining it in a more neutral way.
Like this food
Yeah.
can make your body feel sick.
Yeah,
So we need to be careful.
yeah. And teaching them how to recognize the symptoms
Yes.
of an allergic reaction.
So important.
What steps to take if it happens.
Exactly. Empowering them.
Empowering them with
The
them would be their own advocate.
Exactly.
It's not about making them feel like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is so scary.
Right. Like you can't do anything.
It's about-
You have the power to take care of yourself.
Yes,
And to like
exactly.
speak up.
Something's wrong.
Exactly.
That whole conversation about food allergies
Yeah.
really highlights the importance of communication,
Oh, communication is key.
especially in families.
In so many aspects of parenting.
We need to create that safe space
Absolutely.
where kids feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
expressing their fears
Yeah.
and their concerns
And their worries.
without feeling judged,
Totally.
even if their worries seem irrational to us.
Yes. Validate their feelings.
Yeah, we need to listen to them
Really?
and validate those feelings, even if
Yes.
we don't understand them.
It's hard sometimes.
I know.
It's so important.
And sometimes the best thing we can do
Mhm.
is just listen and offer support
Exactly.
and not try to fix everything.
Oh, for sure.
It's easy to fall into that trap.
I know.
Like as a parent.
To want to solve all their
Yeah.
problems. But sometimes they just need to be heard.
And, communication isn't
Yeah.
just about talking to our kids.
Right.
It's also about paying attention to how they're communicating with us.
Absolutely.
And that could be through behavior,
Yes, through their actions.
body language choices.
All of
Like if they're pushing food around their plate
them.
or refusing to come to the table
Yeah.
or suddenly becoming super picky,
Or not eating as much as they used to.
it could be a sign that something else is going on.
Exactly. It's like they're trying to tell us something,
Yeah.
but they don't have the words for it yet.
So we need to be detectives.
We do.
Like, what's the underlying message?
What are they trying to say?
Are they feeling overwhelmed,
Maybe they're stressed.
anxious about something else?
So it's not about forcing them to eat.
No.
It's about being curious.
Curious.
Asking questions.
Yeah.
And trying to understand what's really going on.
What's beneath the surface?
Yeah, it's like an iceberg.
Right.
Yeah.
We're only seeing the tip of it. There's a
Question.
whole lot going on underneath.
Yeah, food can be really emotionally charged.
Oh, for sure.
Especially for children. Absolutely. It can be tied to feelings of
Control.
comfort,
Love.
love, safety.
Even those, like, seemingly irrational food behaviors
Yeah.
might actually be a way for them to
To communicate an unmet need
Yeah.
or to test boundaries.
or to try to exert some control.
In a world where they often feel like
Yeah.
they don't have a lot of it.
Especially as they get older.
Yeah. So those food battles, they're often about so much more.
Than the food itself.
Exactly.
That's such a good point.
And by being mindful of our communication,
Mhm.
both verbal and nonverbal,
Yeah.
and creating that safe space for open dialogue,
Yeah.
we can help our children
Navigate those complex emotions.
develop a healthier relationship with food.
All of that is so important.
It is.
And, it's great advice for dealing with kids.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of these principles apply to us
Oh, totally.
as parents, too.
Absolutely.
Parenting is hard enough.
It is.
And food can add this whole other layer
Oh, yeah.
of complexity.
And pressure to be the perfect parent.
The perfect parent.
Especially when it comes to food.
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with messages about what we should and
Yeah.
shouldn't be feeding our kids.
Right.
And it's easy to feel like we're failing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And Colton reminds us,
Yeah.
it's okay to let go of that pressure
Yeah.
and embrace a more relaxed and intuitive approach.
It's about trusting ourselves.
Yes.
Trusting your children.
Absolutely.
Giving ourselves permission
to make mistakes.
to make mistakes and learn along the way.
You're not going to get it right all the time.
It's about progress, not perfection.
No, exactly.
And, we don't have to do this alone.
No.
We can lean on our support systems.
Absolutely.
Our partners,
Our partners.
our friends, our families.
Yeah, friends, your family.
Maybe even a therapist.
A therapist, a nutritionist if you need it.
Yeah.
Build your village.
Yes, that village is so important.
And lean on them for support.
Speaking of tricky terrain,
Oh, yes.
the teenage years.
The teenage year.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, boy.
Buckle up.
It's a whole other
It's
ballgame.
Yeah.
A time of immense
Yes.
physical and emotional development.
Yeah.
And often a time when those food-related anxieties and vulnerabilities
Yeah.
can really surface.
Because puberty brings a
Because-
whole host of changes.
Hormone.
Hormonal changes that can impact
Appetite, body image,
eating habits,
eating habits,
mood,
everything.
Plus, you have the added pressure of social media.
Peer influence.
Yeah, which can be so intense.
It's so intense for teenagers.
It's all about what's cool,
What's acceptable.
what's acceptable when it comes to food and body size.
And body image.
Yeah,
It's a recipe for disaster.
it really is.
I mean, for disordered eating.
Yeah.
And just,
body image issue.
yeah, just feeling bad about yourself when
Yeah.
you're already going through so much.
It can be so challenging. Oh, for sure.
For both teenagers.
Yeah.
And their parents.
If-
So what can we do?
So Colton talks about creating that safe and supportive environment. Yeah. Where teenagers
Mm-hmm.
feel comfortable
Yeah.
talking about their concerns.
Yes.
Without feeling judged or criticized.
So even if their worries seem small
Yeah.
or irrational,
To
we
us,
need to
validate
those feelings.
Yes.
And just let them know that
They can come to you.
they can come to us with anything.
Absolutely. And that means avoiding diet talk.
Yes.
Like no comments
Yes.
about their weight or appearance.
It's so hard not to.
I know.
But we have to resist.
We do. It's so damaging.
Yeah.
And instead, let's focus on
Yeah.
their strengths, their interests,
Their passions.
their passions.
Yeah.
Celebrate their whole selves,
Yes.
not just their bodies.
That is so important.
It is. It's about helping them see themselves
Mm-hmm.
beyond just their physical appearance
Mhm.
and listening without judgment.
Oh, for sure.
Sometimes they just need to vent.
They do.
They just need to get it out.
And to have their feelings acknowledged without us jumping in
Yeah.
with unsolicited advice.
Or solutions.
Solutions.
And Colton talks about some really great,
She does.
practical tips for communicating
Yes.
with teenagers about these things.
About food and body image.
Yeah, what are some of those?
So one of them is Using I statements rather than you statements.
So instead of saying,
you're eating too much junk food.
You're eating too much junk food, which feels...
Oh, yeah, that feels accusatory.
Like an attack.
Right.
So instead of saying that...
You say something like, I'm concerned.
I'm concerned about the amount of processed food you eating.
Can we talk about it?
Can we talk
about this? Like you're inviting them into a conversation.
Yeah. And it's not accusatory. It's just expressing your concern.
Yeah.
It's respecting their autonomy.
Yes.
Treating them like the young adult they're becoming.
And, you know, she also suggests focusing on the health benefits of nutritious food rather than emphasizing weight loss or restriction.
So instead of saying you need to eat salad to lose weight,
you can say something like eating plenty of fruits and vegetables gives you energy and helps your body function at its best.
So you're framing it in a positive way.
In a positive way.
Rather than in a...
Like you're doing something wrong.
Negative. Yeah, exactly. I remember patience is key.
Oh, always.
Teenagers are notorious.
I know.
For their mood swings.
Yes.
And their resistance to authority.
It comes with the territory. It's all part of that process of figuring out who they are and what they believe in.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out.
They're trying to individuate.
Yes.
And to separate from their parents.
And it's messy.
It is.
It is messy.
It really is.
So as parents, we just have to...
Pick our battle.
Pick our battles.
Our words carefully.
Yeah.
And remember,
yeah,
it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a long game.
It is.
And we're in it for the long haul.
Absolutely.
And if we notice any red flags or warning signs
of disorder eating,
it's so important to seek professional help.
Absolutely. Early intervention is key with eating disorders.
If you're concerned about your teenager, don't hesitate to reach out.
Reach out to a professional.
Yeah, it's better to err on the side of caution.
For sure.
Always.
Always.
So this whole conversation about teenagers, it really highlights the importance of staying connected.
And informed.
Informed.
About what they're going through.
Yeah, we need to keep those lines of communication open.
Absolutely.
Be aware of the pressure.
The influences.
And influences they're facing.
Yes.
And be ready to support them.
Always.
Through the ups and downs.
Through the ups and downs.
Of this challenging stage of life.
It is challenging.
It is.
But it can also be really rewarding.
Absolutely.
To see them blossom into
these amazing
young adults.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Now let's dive into a topic that's often considered taboo.
Diet culture.
Diet culture. It's everywhere.
It really is. It's relentless pressure.
Yes.
To conform to a certain ideal.
An ideal that is often unrealistic and unattainable.
And it can be really harmful.
So harmful.
To our relationship with food.
And our bodies.
And our bodies.
And our mental health.
Colton really breaks down the myths.
She does.
And misconceptions.
The lies.
The lies that underpin diet culture.
Yeah.
It's so important to be aware of those messages.
Because they're everywhere.
They are.
And they're so insidious.
You know those messages that tell us we need to be thinner? More perfect.
More perfect, more good.
Happy and successful.
Yeah.
It's a trap. It's a trap that so many of us fall into.
I've fallen into it.
I know, we all have.
It's so easy to...
Especially, you know, the way our society is.
The media.
And
everywhere.
Right.
So we're constantly bombarded with images.
Of ideal bodies.
Of these ideal bodies.
Often photoshopped and unattainable.
Yeah.
And we're told
we need to achieve a certain size.
A certain shape.
A certain shape in order to be worthy.
In order to be loved.
Yeah. And the diet industry.
Oh, my God.
Profits from our insecurities.
Absolutely.
You know, they're selling us these products.
Products and programs that promise quick fixes and easy solutions.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
It is.
And they're preying on our
insecurity.
Our insecurity.
The desire to be thin.
And the reality is
that
diets,
they don't work.
They often backfire.
They do.
They can lead to
weight cycling,
nutritional deficiencies.
Slower metabolism.
The slower metabolism in the long run.
Yeah. Your body goes into starvation mode.
It does.
It's trying to protect itself, and it holds on to every calorie.
And the most important thing is that they damage our relationship with food.
And our bodies.
And our bodies, they make us feel like
we're constantly failing.
Like we're not good enough.
Not good enough.
As we are.
As we are, and it's so important to reject those
messages.
And to embrace a more intuitive and compassionate
approach to eating.
To eating and to our bodies.
To bodies.
It's about listening to our bodies, honoring our hunger cues, and making choices that feel good for us.
So simple.
I know.
It's revolutionary.
It is. It's like going against.
It is going against everything we've been taught.
We've been told our whole lives.
So Colton gives us some tips.
She does.
For breaking free from diet culture.
Yeah.
What are some of her strategies?
Okay, so first of all, ditch the diet books.
Okay, get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
Yeah.
And the calorie counting apps.
Oh my gosh, I've been there.
I know we all have.
Those could be so triggering.
They can.
Because they make us...
They make us so hyper-focused.
Yeah.
On numbers.
On numbers and food.
Yeah.
Rather than on...
listening to our bodies.
Our internal wisdom.
Our internal wisdom. Instead of obsession over calories and macros and all of that. Let's tune into our internal hunger cues.
Like, when was the last time you were actually hungry?
Yeah.
And when was the last time you were actually full?
Exactly. And it's about eating when we're hungry.
Yeah.
Stopping when we're full.
Yeah.
Without guilt or shame.
Without guilt or shame.
And it might take some time to get back in touch with those cues.
Especially if you've been dieting for a long time.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're basically ignoring those cues.
You're numbing them out. So it takes some time.
Yeah, to reawaken them.
To reawaken them.
And Colton also encourages us to focus on the pleasure of eating.
Yes, food is meant to be enjoyed.
I love that.
To savor the flavors, the textures.
The aromas.
Like, really be present with your food.
It's not just fuel.
It's an experience.
It is.
It's a sensory experience, and it's something to be savored.
Yeah.
Not rushed.
No, not rushed.
Not guilty.
It's okay to indulge sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
You know, to have that slice of cake.
Have the cake.
Have that bowl of ice cream.
Yes.
Without beating yourself up about it.
Without the guilt and the shame.
It's about balance.
It's about balance and moderation.
Not about being perfect.
Not about deprivation.
Right.
And she also talks about challenging those negative thoughts.
Those negative thoughts.
That pop up.
You know, those voices in our heads.
Oh, yeah, we all have them.
The inner critic?
The inner critic.
That tells us we're not good enough.
Too fat. Not pretty enough.
Not thin enough.
Not that.
They can be so loud.
They can be so loud.
And so persistent.
Especially, you know, if you've been dieting for a long time.
Or exposed to diet culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like they've been ingrained in our brains.
So how do we quiet those voices?
So she suggests replacing those negative thoughts with positive affirmation.
So instead of saying, I hate my thighs, we can say,
I'm grateful for my strong legs that carry me through life.
I love that.
Right.
It's shifting our focus.
Shifting our focus.
To what we love.
To what we appreciate.
And appreciate about our bodies.
On our bodies.
Rather than dwelling on what we perceive as flaws.
Because those flaws are often just perception.
They're not reality.
They're not reality. They're often things that other people have told us.
Or that society has told us.
Society has told us we should be ashamed of.
Yeah.
And it's so important to challenge those messages.
It is.
And to remember that our bodies are amazing.
They are.
They're capable of so much.
And they deserve our love and respect.
Yes, no matter what size or shape they are.
Exactly.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone.
Yeah, the village.
The village. Right. Surround yourself with people.
People who support us.
Who support your journey towards a healthier relationship with food.
And with your body.
And your body.
And friends, your family.
Therapists, support groups. Yeah. Find your tribe and lean on them.
Yeah, that's so important.
It is.
Welcome back to our deep dive into how to talk to children about food.
We've covered so much, you know, from intuitive eating to ditching diet culture.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And now we're going to explore some even deeper layers of this whole, you know, complex topic.
I'm ready. One of the things that really stuck with me from the previous parts was this idea of food as a language.
Oh, yeah.
Within families.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what exactly did Colton mean by that?
So it's about how we use food to communicate, you know, our emotions, our expectations, even those unspoken power dynamics, you know, that exists in every family.
So it's not just about what we eat, but the messages that we're sending through those food-related interactions.
Exactly. And sometimes those messages are received, you know, very differently than we intend.
Right.
Colton tells this really poignant story about a woman named Mina, whose mother primarily expressed love through food.
I remember that story. It really made me think about those early experiences that can shape our relationship with food.
Right. In such profound ways.
Yeah.
For Mina, those elaborate birthday cakes, you know, those special meals prepared with such care, they became these powerful symbols of her mother's love.
But when her mom was busy or stressed or upset, and those food-based gestures were absent, Mina felt deeply unloved.
And insecure.
Yeah. It's a powerful example of how food can become entangled with our sense of dearth. You know?
The longing.
Yeah, and it makes you realize how important it is to be aware of the messages we're sending, even unintentionally.
Absolutely.
Through those everyday interactions around food.
Totally. And it highlights the importance of finding other ways to express love and connection.
Right.
So that food isn't the only language we're speaking.
Colton also talks about these family food legacies.
Oh, yeah.
The deeply ingrained habits and anxieties that could be passed down through generations. It's almost like these unspoken food rules become part of our inheritance.
It's true. You see it all the time, like with the baby boomers who grew up with parents, who lived through the Depression or World War II.
Right.
Food was scarce, so there's this like emphasis on, saving every scrap,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning your plate, never wasting anything. Even though the boomers themselves grew up with abundance, they often inherited those anxieties around food.
It's fascinating how these experiences can, like, echo through families,
Yeah.
shaping how we think about food in our bodies, even generations later.
It really underscores the importance of like becoming aware of those patterns.
So you can decide which ones you want to carry forward and which ones you want to break free from.
Exactly.
That self-awareness is so key. And it makes me think about another point that Colton makes, the brain science behind our eating habits.
Oh, the brain science. Yeah. She dives into like how our brains are wired to perceive certain experiences,
Okay.
especially those related to food, as threats.
Because food is so essential for survival.
Exactly. It goes back to our like chimp brain, that primitive part of our brain that's always on the lookout for danger.
Right.
If we have a negative experience with food, like food poisoning or, a conflict over a meal,
Mm-hmm.
our chimp brain goes into overdrive.
It wants to protect us.
Wants to protect us from future harm?
So it creates these strong associations, between those experiences and feelings of fear or anxiety.
Yeah. Which can linger for years.
It explains why certain foods can trigger such visceral reactions in some people,
Oh, totally.
even if those reactions seem irrational.
Right.
On the surface, it's not just about the taste or the smell. It's about those deeper, subconscious connections that have been forged in our brains.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder to be compassionate,
Yeah.
with ourselves and with our children. Those seemingly irrational responses to food might actually be rooted in a very primal need
For safety.
for safety and survival.
For all the seriousness of this topic, I also appreciate that Colton finds ways to inject a bit of fun into it. Like her section on food idioms.
Oh, yeah, the idioms.
Spill the beans, piece of cake, gravy train.
I love those.
It's amazing how food has, woven itself into our language.
in our culture.
And our culture.
Yeah.
Colton suggests using those idioms as a fun way to, explore the cultural significance of food with children.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Right. It could be like a fun family activity.
Brainstorming your favorites.
Yeah, talking about what they reveal about our relationship with food.
Exactly. It reminds us that food is more than just fuel,
Right.
It's intertwined with our stories, our traditions, our values.
It's something to be, savored and celebrated,
Absolutely.
not feared or controlled.
Well said.
Well, we've covered so much ground in this deep dive.
We really have.
From intuitive eating to food anxieties to family legacies.
Quite a journey.
It has been quite a journey. What are your biggest takeaways? What are you walking away with from this whole conversation?
For me, it's the power of awareness.
Okay.
By recognizing those patterns in ourselves, in our families, in our culture, we can start to make more conscious choices about how we approach food
Mm-hmm.
and how we raise our children.
And I love that Colton emphasizes that this isn't about, achieving perfection.
Oh, no.
It's about progress.
Progress, not perfection.
Being patient with ourselves.
And our kids.
And our children. It's about finding that balance.
That balance between nourishment and enjoyment.
Yeah.
Between structure and autonomy.
And it's about remembering that food can be a source of joy and connection.
And celebration.
Absolutely. If you're listening and this conversation has resonated with you, I highly recommend checking out Anna Colton's book, How to Talk to Children About Food.
It's a great book.
You can find a link in the episode description.
Yeah, it's a valuable resource for parents.
Yeah.
Anyone who's ever struggled with their own relationship with food, really.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We would love to hear your thoughts.
Yes. What resonated with you?
What are you going to try in your own life or with your family? Share your insights in the comments below, and be sure to share this episode with anyone who might find it helpful.
Spread the word.
Until next time, happy eating, everyone.